Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we are continuing our ongoing coverage of the Russian-Ukrainian war. But first, I want to have a discussion about the the recent hospital strike that occurred in Gaza. I'll bring a quick map up here where you, the viewer, can see the locale that was struck in Gaza City. It's the Ali Arab Hospital. Now, there are questions about this strike. Was it done by the Israelis? Was it done by Hamas? Well, I have to say that initially, and currently, it seems reasonable that the strike was done by the Israelis. And I'll try to explain why. And it's not rocket science, pardon the pun. The normal weapons that Hamas uses against Israel are smaller, unguided rockets. They do have larger rockets, such as the Fajr 5 rocket. They have other rockets that are larger, but at the same time, they are not of the size where one single rocket would seem to do the kind of damage and kill 500 people that strike did. The strike that I was able to listen to and witness on video has the concussive force and sound of a larger munition, a much larger, powerful munition. Was it an Israeli Rampage missile? Was it a Popeye? Was it a JDAM 1,000-pounder, 2,000-pounder? Difficult to say. But the damage that was done, outside of being a saturation attack by some sort of barrage of rockets from Hamas, which we know wasn't the case. It wasn't multiple hits. It was one single strike, and then a large concussive blast. So on the surface, I have to say, it looks like the Israelis hit that target. Now, we could find out that, is it possible that Hamas is using larger guided rockets from Iran, the type that were used against that cratered the U.S. airbase in Iraq? But the only problem with that is, again, how would that rocket, if fired, suddenly malfunction and then impact in this locale? Normally, if they're going to go off course, they're going to go many, many miles off course, and in all probability, it would land someplace in Israel. Or, again, it's possible, but unlikely. Now, could there have been a legitimate military target? Could the Israelis have believed that there was a legitimate military target at the Ali Arab Hospital? Yeah, absolutely. And you have to understand that there are many Israelis who lost loved ones in that Hamas attack. So is it possible, again, that it was an unauthorized strike by the Israelis? Maybe. Maybe not. But again, just based on the damage that missile has done, doesn't seem indicative of a Hamas rocket. Just think about it. Think about all the rockets that have been fired at Israel. We've never seen a powerful strike, the likes of which hit the Ali Arab Hospital. So are you telling me that in all these strikes that Hamas has carried out, Hamas has never once been able to use this type of powerful missile in a Israeli urbanized environment, or have they just all been shot down by Iron Dome? And that's what we don't know at this point. But again, I think the knee-jerk reaction, especially with the White House, the Israelis, are, nope, we didn't do it, especially given the amount of fatalities involved in this strike. Quite a few fatalities. I mean, if we're talking over 500 dead, that's a lot. And that's a difficult PR mountain to overcome, especially if you're talking about women and children. But it's war. It's what happens. So, again, we'll continue to watch the situation in Gaza. We're watching the continued buildup of Israeli forces. We are continuing to hear the rhetoric from Hezbollah and Iran. And it looks like right now this is a black hole of eventually a major war between Iran and Israel. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. Now, on to the ongoing war in Ukraine against the Russian Federation. So the cat is out of the bag. The toothpaste is out of the tube. The ATACMS have been used. Sound like Jesse Jackson, don't I? Those nonsensical rhymes. Yeah, I apologize. Anyway. So the Ukrainians used ATACMS armed with cluster munitions against a variety of Russian targets, including near the town of Berdyansk. They went after Russian attack helicopters. This strike appears to have been originated in the United States. The United States is aware that the K-52, the other Russian attack helicopters that are being used with those long-range anti-tank guided weapon systems and other long-range missile systems launched from these helicopters, including Mi-17s and 8s as well, are taking a toll on Ukrainian formations, especially in the wide-open fields of Zaporizhzhia. So to negate that Russian capability, the United States has handed over these ATACMS weapon systems to be launched well within inside of Ukrainian territory and strike at these Russian air bases. Now the challenge, the problem, is going to be the Russian response, because eventually regular long-range ATACMS are going to be handed over. Once the Ukrainians get a weapon system, it is not long for additional and enhanced lethality weapon systems are delivered to the Ukrainians. That means that the next batch of ATACMS may not be the cluster munitions. They may be the single high explosive warheads that do incredible damage and have incredible precision. And those weapon systems, those single unitary warheads, will go after Russian command and control sites. And these weapons, these ATACMS, are essentially controlled by the United States. Now, why do I say that? Well, the intelligence capability of the United States is providing the aim points to the Ukrainians. So the United States is finding targets through its vast network of satellites, drones, and human intelligence. Real-time drone, real-time satellite footage, identifying Russian targets, and then those coordinates are immediately uploaded to those ATACMs. And then they're launched. It is possible that those weapon systems could be controlled directly from Washington or NATO, Western Europe. It's possible. Now, is this a one-off? Is this something that the United States has decided to do to eliminate the threat of those attack helicopters? Are restricting the Ukrainian use and are giving the Ukrainians up-to-date intel and strike information, aim point information on where Russian helicopters are based, and they're going to limit it to that? I think it's unlikely. I think we'll eventually see these ATACMS strikes expand. We will see them expand. And the question is what are the Russians going to do? I got to tell you, man, the world is in a mess right now. I don't think we've ever seen a mess. The world in a utter mess at any point outside of maybe World War II. Well, definitely World War II, obviously. But to have Iran and Israel possibly entering a major conflict, the Russians and the Ukrainians possibly dragging in other countries, it is just the world is in a mess. East Africa. What's happening in the former state of Ethiopia right now? Now there's talk of a war between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Highly doubt that's going to happen. I think the former state of Ethiopia is in such a mess that we'll continue to see civil war taking place there. I don't think neither the Eritrean state nor the Abiy loyalist side of the equation is ready for interstate war, while at the same time fighting these internal conflicts, such as the Oromo Liberation Army and the Great Amharan Rebellion. Anyway, side note, but again, just a symptom of the times. And it's amazing how during the Joe Biden campaign, the Democrats' campaign against Donald Trump, they were talking about the world is less safe with Donald Trump. Well, for the love of Christ, look what's happening now. It's like what the Democrats promise is exactly the opposite of what occurs. We're going to bring world peace. No, you're going to bring world war. We're going to stop the Republicans from warmongering, right? Nope. We're going to be the warmongers. We're going to create a state of perpetual war. That's what's happening. Now, are we going to see the merging of conflicts? And what I mean by that, the Iran-Israeli conflict merging into the Ukrainian-Russian conflict. Are the Russians going to support the Iranians? Are the Chinese going to support the Iranians? Are the Chinese eyeing Taiwan? Just when you thought this could not get any worse, it can get much worse. In a way that no one can even conceptualize right now. And that's kind of where we're at. Now, the Russians continue its general offensive towards Avdiivka. We will just do a quick look at what the Russians, in terms of what things have looked like over the course of the last few days since we're going to go back to, let's just go back to the first of, there we go. And we'll just, again, watch to the north and to the south of Avdiivka as we see this Russian operation start to unfold. Has it been successful yet? I'd say no, not yet. But the Russians are still prosecuting its attack. They're also continuing to build up to the north near Kupiansk as well, and continuing to attack in that sector as well. So here we go. Let's go forward. So you can clearly see kind of what the Russians have done over the last few days. Have they encircled Avdiivka yet? No, not officially. They can hit. They now have the ability to target anything moving in or moving out of Avdiivka. Now, they had that capability before. They just have more of that capability now as they have tightened the ring around Avdiivka a bit more. But it will be, again, interesting to see how many more of these ATACMs are sent over to Ukraine. How much more, what other weapon systems the U.S. is going to hand over to the Ukrainians, and how that exactly is going to get used. And then what do the Russians respond with? How do the Russians react? And ultimately, that's what we're watching very, very closely. So that's where we're at for today. More to come very, very soon. As always, thanks for joining us. Have a good day.